Hi everyone. This is the first Kubeflow Spark Operator community call on the 17th of May. Welcome everyone. This meeting will be recorded and published on YouTube. This meeting is governed by the Kubeflow Code of Conduct. I'm so happy to be here and managing this call together with Vara and Chauran. Just maybe I can start with my introduction. My name is Andre. I've been in the Kubeflow community for almost 6 years. Been there like maintaining different components, training for distributed training and fine-tuning Knative components for AutoML and other things. And right now we're like very exciting to start these community calls together with other members of the Spark operator community. So with this, let me pass it to you, Var, so you can drive this call moving forward.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Andre. Hi, everyone. My name is Vara Buntu. I'm a principal open source specialist SA working with AWS, and I'm very passionate about open source stuff. And I worked very long with Apache Spark and running Spark on Kubernetes, and it's one of the reasons why the motivation started to bring that Google Spark operator into Kubeflow. And luckily, I got really good partners, and Andre and Russ and Sharon, most importantly. So we managed to bring that open source solution that Google built. It's just because a lot of our users, and I see, and also the customers I worked in the past, they all use Kubeflow Spark Operator. And they kind of seen this issue around, not maintaining it and, not able to merge the PRs that the users wanted. We're just hoping that now, I'm really hoping that with now moving to Kubernetes, Kubeflow community, and thanks to the Kubeflow, mainly the maintainers and everyone who accepted this and bringing that governance for us. So, so from this point, we can look at, all these great maintainers and open source maintainers can come along and improve this project and make it a better place for everyone. That's the kind of a motivation. That's about me. I'll let Sharon introduce him as well.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Chauran. I work at Apple. I'm an engineer and I lead batch analytics platform here at Apple AI/ML data platform. And I'm one of the early contributors to the then Google Spark operator. And at Apple, for the past 3 years, we have been running Spark operator in production on Kubernetes. Especially on AWS for at a really large scale. And I hope to bring my practical experience operating Spark operator in the wild to the community and make it a better project, especially in terms of the ability to handle the toughest workloads in the industry.
Yeah, thanks, Sharon. So Sharon has done quite a lot of work in the Spark operator, and it just adds a lot of value to this open source solution. But as you know, and I think we're going to discuss that a bit more about it later on, about the maintainers and how we wanted to maintain the releases and so on. But the first thing I would say, if you all can access this, the Google Docs, please feel free to enter your name or the company or the location where you are attending this meeting. That would be good. And I will open up for quick, intro if you like, just under 30 seconds if you say where you are from and, what makes it interesting for you to work with the Kubeflow Spark operator would be a good fit. So maybe from the list of a Zoom call that shows on the top, like, I don't know, to start with the top. Maybe I can call out the names. Now we have RP. Do you want to?
That's me, Russ. Yeah, so nice to
Yeah.
meet everyone. I'm also at Apple. I manage a notebooks team, and so I have Jupyter open source committers working with me, and then Andre works with me as well. And just super passionate about open source. Like I see what Andre and Zach are doing day to day in Jupyter and Kubeflow, and a lot of passion and a lot of hard work and a lot of very smart people floating around. So just I wanted to make sure that we offer folks a home in the Kubeflow world. And obviously Andre really drove the idea from the beginning, and I just kind of supported him along the way. So happy to meet everyone. Happy that more open source work is going to get done and community can grow and be healthier.
Yeah.
And just
Thanks,
big
Russ, and
thanks to
thanks.
Andre. I think just a huge thank you to Andre. I think Andre did great work in making sure he was very, very persistent about offering
Yeah,
folks a home in the Kubeflow world.
He's a big driver for sure. So
Yeah,
persistent to make this happen, 100%, no doubt about it. Thanks, Rez, for all the support. Moving on to Alex Remedios, if I'm spelling.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, hey everyone, it's great to meet you all. So I'm Alex, I'm the founder of Treebeard, and we work on serverless AI infrastructure. So we've done a fair bit of consulting over the last couple of years, notably for the NHS during COVID, building AI infrastructure. So I've been quite excited about cluster computing, including KubeRay. At the time, found that I wasn't sure how to use Spark on Kubernetes, but since getting involved with Kubeflow around Christmas and building our own distribution called Kubeflow Bootstrap, I've been really excited to see this project get into the Kubeflow organization, and I'm looking at how I can help build on top of the Spark operator and also include it in Kubeflow Bootstrap as well to make it more accessible for people. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Alex. Next, Ashen.
Hi, everyone. I'm Asim, SRE for the Spark team in Pinterest. And, for the last 1 year now, we've been migrating our production jobs to Spark on EKS. And that, from that perspective, I'm definitely interested in this community and also very much interested in, like all of the issues that we run into that we would like to fix around just Spark operator, adding multi-namespace support and multi-Spark support, high availability there, and also IPv6 supports and such. So yeah, really happy to be here.
Thank you. David Zoom.
Hey, yeah. Nice to meet everyone. I'm a data platform engineer at Expedia. We're also using this Spark Kubernetes operator in production here at Amazon EKS. And yeah, I'm just here to kind of learn about the community and kind of how the project's gonna go moving forward.
All right, thank you. So next, Fireflies team. Is it Fireflies.ai team?
Yeah, I think we should skip it. It's probably
Okay.
yeah.
It's going to take for a while.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, that's fine. But maybe I think it's everyone who joined that meeting. Would you mind writing your attendee list in the meeting notes and just put your name down there? And if you want to write a blurb about it, it's fine. We can use that information. Right. Okay. So is it worth sharing the screen? Andre?
Yeah, let me try to give it. So are you able to share the screen right now? Do you have permission?
Oh, I'm just trying that now. So
Yeah, it looks like you should be able to share your screen. Yep, should be work.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I just do a couple of things from here. Okay, great. So yeah, I know we have a lot of interested people who are here. Yes, yeah. If you could write down the name here, just from the company you're working, or the more details that would be useful later on. And also, please feel free to mention if, as one thing, this is not a new project, as everybody knows, this is an existing Google Cloud project, Spark Operator, and many of the existing contributors might be in this channel. Please feel free to write a word around it. Like if you have maintained this repo in the past, if you have contributed a lot in the past to this repo and want to continue to become a maintainer or become a reviewer, mention your name and details there. We just make sure as a part of this exercise and more calls that we have, we will recruit more people who are passionate about it and then become a maintainers to that. So we're just handling that currently, myself, Sharon, and Andre, but really, not to restrict to us, but we want to bring in more people who are passionate to be part of this project. And we also welcome all the changes. But for this meeting, we just wanted to cover the introduction, which we've done, and some of the acknowledgements, and the people who worked hard and to make this happen, and to make this project to push it to Kubeflow. I thank everyone who made that possible. But we are in a good place, and we should be able to merge the PRs and request or raise the PRs and work on that. One thing that we want to work in this community meeting is to see what are the issues with the current Spark operator. And when I say issues, the process, what do you think that we need to improve? Any suggestions that you have? You can always come onto the mic later on, but we can discuss those things. Currently, we have number of open issues in the repo. I'm sure you can see that at the project here. They have 495 issues and 969 PRs. But we might not have bandwidth to look into every single old issues. But one thing I urge everyone is to, if you have ever raised an issue or the PR, just go back and reevaluate these issues and PRs, whether they're still valid. If it's not, you can pull the latest releases and push raise it as a new PR just to make it so that we can review it. So that's the only message. And the plan is to build some sort of a GitHub workflows over a period of time, just to clean up some of these the old issues and PRs which might not be valid. Not necessarily we go and close every single issue. Right. So I think the question now currently just
Can I have
somebody has a
question?
question.
Yeah. I just want to thank you for this information. Yeah, I just want to know everyone, while welcoming for new contribution, I can share some links with you how you can contribute. So the idea is the Spark operator being under the Kubeflow ecosystem, it just give you more kind of openness and ability to safely contribute. I can share some links, the guidelines, for example, that we following the CNCF processes. You just need to sign your commits and pass the DCO check, and this should be very straightforward to you to do the commits. So we have a process similar to other CNCF project like Istio, Knative, or other parts of CNCF ecosystem, where you can become a reviewer, approver, and the part of the working group leads. So we're kind of operating in the Kubeflow ecosystem with the working groups, similar to Kubernetes. We kind of establishing the new working group called working group data, which Spark operator will be part of. And we are more than happy to onboard you as an active maintainer to be part of this working group, and also be part of the reviewers and approvers for the different pieces of the Spark operator project. Yeah, because you have a question, go ahead.
Just my one question about it is about this working group is it just gonna focus on the Spark operator part in Kubeflow, or it's this group is in future is also gonna look at integration of Spark into other components such as lightweight client, the Kubeflow notebooks and all?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, so I think historically, Kubeflow's ecosystem doesn't have a good story around data preparation and data processing. So the idea is to, and recently, new project was created called Model Registry. Red Hat was donating this project under the Kubeflow ecosystem as well. So our goal is to this working group will be focusing around all data preprocessing for AI lifecycle. So covering tools such as Ray, Spark, Dask, other parts of AI story like feature store like Feast, right, and Model Registry. So the people who want to work together with us to establish the guidelines for people who want to do ML on Kubernetes and want to work on the specific piece in the AI lifecycle, specifically for data processing, data preparation, data ingestion, feature engineering. This working group will be dedicated to address some of these use cases and challenges. And it is why we believe the Spark operator is a great role in this working group, plays a great role, because it's kind of one of the most widely used tool in AML lifecycle today. So yeah, it's much more rather than just working on Spark, but also if you take a look at the blog post that we're writing, we have some ideas and proposals how we can integrate, as you said, plugin for notebooks, is the one thing. Integration with training to do like streamlined distributed training all the way from Spark to PyTorch. This is the several things that we want to work on. And we're looking for some people who can, volunteer and help with us building these integrations.
Agree with that. One of the key focus is to stabilize the Spark operator and address all the performance issues that we have today with the Spark operator. There are a lot of customers or users who are using it. I think the common thing is because there's issues that were never merged, the PRs that were never merged in the past, and the users, what I heard from the users are they kind of fork the repo and push their own changes and maintaining their own fork. But we can try to bring all those changes into Spark operator and fix all those fixes and make that available to the users is our main motive, and then start thinking about integrations with other things as well, more into the Kubeflow community for sure. But if you see just a current stable release, I know we merged some of the issues some of the PRs recently just to make it stable. And this release kind of worked with both ARM instances as well as x86, and I believe that's been tested by the few community members. Thanks for that. The idea for this first release that we are thinking is to just release as is without introducing any new features. The plan for the new features, I know there's a really good PRs people have raised around improving the performance of the Kubeflow Spark operator. We're thinking of making that available as a part of release 2. I know the release 1, this is just the first tag that we pushed, but there is a discussion around making a new release process with Kubeflow and make that available as Kubeflow release 1 and release 2 kind of a thing. Haven't decided yet, but that's one thing that we want to hear ideas from you folks as well. But yeah, that's for the stable release. And Sharon, do you want to jump in anything here?
Yeah, exactly. That's where we are standing today, and hopefully we can get the project back on solid footing, meaning that they can run stably and in a performant fashion in production at a large scale. And then afterwards, we can look at some of the more exciting recent things that have been happening in the community, things related to machine learning training, inference, and also interactive jobs support, things such as notebook. We have been doing lots of those here at Apple, and there's some integrations that we have done, and we hope to contribute those to the community as well. But yeah, before that, we need to have the core set of features stabilized, and because that's what the Spark operator is originally designed to do, to handle lifecycle management of Spark applications on Kubernetes.
Yeah, thank you. Andre, yeah,
Yeah, I just want to add at one point about the release for everyone to make it clear. Again, Kubeflow ecosystem doesn't enforce the components to follow the release schedule, which means right now Kserve or Kubeflow pipelines or notebooks, they have their own release schedule, which means as long as community agree that you need to make a release, you can just basically cut it. And there is some misunderstanding what is actually Kubeflow and what is Kubeflow components. So we try to improve how documentation actually explains clearly. So the idea is to independent component, they will have their own release lifecycle, and the lifecycle of Kubeflow platform release will combine these components, but this will be completely async. So if you want to cut release, for example, in every quarter or every 3 weeks, you can definitely do it. And we have another working group which will be responsible to integrate this release in the broader kind of platform-based release, which means the release will be totally async, and you don't need to follow the other components release lifecycle, right? And I think where I also have an issue to improve the release process, right? I think it would be nice to link it here that we discussed, just to I know that Spark operator has a Helm chart release right now, plus the image release. So maybe we can work together to improve these processes with the release branches and the tags to do exactly the same what Kubernetes, for example, is doing, right? So we can provide a stable releases for the community to consume, right? And cherry pick some bug fixes, right? And other topics. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. So I think there's a couple of questions I'm just writing down. So one of the things that we want to decide is on the frequency of release, and also other thing is about should we have a single release version that includes for both application as well as Helm chart. Currently, we have the Helm chart release and image release independently being pushed, like you can see here. That's our app image, and that's our Helm chart image. So wondering if I have Kubeflow release version, which matches both Helm chart as well as that. It's just a suggestion, so if you have any suggestions, but feel free to, throw your ideas and use this document, but leave a comment, and then we can definitely look into it. And we can raise an issue around that and start working on that. Yep. Anna, you have a question?
Yes, I do. Sorry, this is my first time here, so I just have a question around integrating other parallelization frameworks as well, or maybe that we have an abstraction layer, so we give the as a user the possibility to integrate other frameworks as well. So we have here Spark for Kubeflow, but maybe other people have preference for something like Ray.io or things like this. Is this something that we have in mind, or is this something that we that will be brought to the table later, maybe? Or because I know that the Kubeflow ecosystem is very pluggable, and you can just plug and play and have whatever you want. But right now, if I have dependency on a specific library without that abstraction layers, then I'm stuck while other people have other preferences as well.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify quickly, and so at the moment with the Spark operator, there is no dependency or prerequisite to use Kubeflow. Just the Spark operator is an independent project under Kubeflow governance, but as a part of future improvements, but the people in the community can bring add plugins to Kubeflow as well as Ray as well. So you're welcome to do that. I think one example that could be is the batch schedulers with Spark operator integrated with the Volcano as a batch scheduler or Apache Unicorn as a batch scheduler. So you can think about adding those, raising feature requests and work towards that. It's not specific to integrated heavily with Kubeflow, just the community and governance that we are bringing into Spark operator.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Right. So anyone has any questions, and I'll just put down some of the future release plans. I mean, the doc will be shared after this to see. And I think, Andre, you have an issue raised on the release plan, right? Which we can use.
Yeah, I think kind of like related to the connecting app version and chart version in single version, right? So make it easier to maintain it, right? So I think like we want to like do the same what Kserve is doing in their Helm charts. So they don't have independent version of Helm charts and the image version, right? So I think we need to like answer the question if you want to support multiple Spark versions in the Spark operator, but this is separate, right? Because I think the question is like how you want to like structure your branches and tags, right? To support multiple Spark version that is required. Yeah, but this is definitely. Did you have a question?
Yeah, so one of the things around releases is actually the process behind validating that a release works. For release 1, I know Vara just posted it up and said, hey, if anyone wants to test it, let's do it. My strategy to testing it was just to run and update some of the examples they're provided, make sure things like Spark Pi runs, but I think one of the things we're going to want to look at is having a more codified process for validating that a release works. Like right now, I skipped a couple of the examples because they just weren't relevant, and just having an actual written down process there will be good.
Yeah. Thanks, Peter. So And I think we need to relook at, just going back to your question, we need to relook at the integration test that was built within the Spark operator to see if we can build some sort of an end-to-end, the test with a better coverage for the future releases. And if there is no issue open now, maybe we can raise one issue around validating end-to-end tests and see if we can build something. And by using local kind clusters or maybe using the actual clusters by funding, get a fund from other cloud providers to run these tests as well. There's a couple of possibilities we can look at it. But yeah, that answers your question.
Yep, thanks.
And about the future release plans, I've got two questions. Is firstly about documentation, because it just came to me surprised that there's an app version as well as a head chart version which are separate. So how do we keep on upgrading the documentation? And at what point of time do we integrate it into the Kubeflow website documentation, Kubeflow documentation website? So, and second thing is, at this point of time, do we actually have a plan what versions of Spark we are going to support? And in future, how do we actually maintain that version compatibility between various versions and components?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So let's proceed with one by one. So the first one is the Kubeflow documentation. So currently we have the GitHub docs for Spark operator. Just a simple readmes and might not be very appealing to read in the docs. But when we moved into the Kubeflow, the intention is to migrate these docs into Kubeflow docs. Andre, there's an issue open for that. Maybe we can add that to the doc now here. The plan is, as a part of the release one that we want to release, we can look at migrating this documentation to the Kubeflow so that users can see more Kubeflow documentation. And from that point, so we can make sure that only Kubeflow documentation is maintained, and that can be easy to refer for the users. For the second question, maybe Sharon, do you want to?
Yeah. So the second question, that's about the versions of Spark that we want to support, right? So for that, well, technically speaking, it shouldn't be too much work to support many Spark versions. For example, we run a version of Spark operator built with a Spark image that's Spark 3.3. And with that single deployment of Spark operator, we run user workloads ranging from Spark version 3.0 to 3.5. So it's 5 versions total, and that's no problem at all. So I'm inclined to say that for the time being, we can support as many versions as feasible. But in the future, especially if we have let's say an automated test suite that validates all the functionalities, and maybe at a certain point in the future, it's no longer feasible for us to maintain all the tests needed for all those Spark versions. At that point, maybe we can make a decision to drop the versions so we support to maybe only 3 or even 2. But at the moment, I don't see too much effort needed to qualify the readiness for multiple Spark versions. So I think as many versions as technically can be supported. Because the dependency of Spark in the operator is mostly just Spark submit. There's a few other minor points, but because of this loose coupling, that allows us the ability to have support for so many versions, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think the key once the first release is. As a part of the first release, once we have the Kubeflow documentation in place and make the stable release without adding the new features, but there are a number of other features that the PRs that are coming out, and I have seen some are in draft and some are. So the performance improvement is a key area where the Spark operator is struggling at the moment based on the users they say, because in the time it takes to spin up the jobs and the delays with the JVM process. And I hear a lot from the community, and they wanted to add more the features, and probably listing out those performance improvements. If you suggest any of these things that you forked this repo, and then done some improvements, please feel free to raise that as an issue, and then explain that, what kind of improvements you have done and how it benefited. And then we can consolidate all those performance improvement and do it as a part of the second release. We really want to bring those performance improvements, the key performance improvements for Spark Operator, and then take it from there. That's an idea. So you have a question?
Yeah, on that note, I wanted to introduce ourselves. So
Hi.
Ashim, I think, went before. My name is Samacharya. I'm a senior architect at Pinterest. I work in the data engineering, and we have been working extensively with the Spark operator as we move away from our Hadoop clusters to our Spark on EKS framework. So on that note, in terms of scalability, as Vara was mentioning, we have made some changes to the Spark operator. For instance, one of the things we found was that the state updates that the Spark operator does, really at the end of the day, we only care about what happens to the driver. We took out, for instance, the monitoring on the executors, since that really wasn't, at least for our purposes, necessary. We found that really helped with scalability. We made a couple of other changes. So again, looking forward to kind of figuring out how to contribute these changes back and kind of benefit from the work that the other folks have done on this topic.
Yeah.
I just want to quickly say, I think it's great, Som, introduction. I just want to add a suggestion to maybe Vara and you, Charan, to consume. So we try to follow the Kubernetes process for adopting new features with enhancement proposals. Like Kubernetes has a concept called Kubernetes enhancement proposals, which go through review, rights, and approval. So I think, just as a suggestion for you, if it is a significant change, maybe initially it makes sense to submit a proposal under the Spark Operator GitHub repo. And then Charan and Vara and other folks can review it, and then we can submit the code. Because I understand it, probably it might be hard for you to review it under the reissue, have discussions, and maybe following the process similar to other Kubernetes components would make sense to me. But yeah, just a suggestion how we can move forward with these more significant improvements for scalability issues with existing Spark Operator.
Yeah, you're right. Submitting a proposal doesn't need to be writing the large documents as such, but if you can write a few words around, what you guys have done and what changes has been, implemented and how it helped, that would be sufficient. And we can, I'm not sure if we have a location where we can keep all the docs, Andre, so that the community can keep.
Yeah, you can directly keep it on the Spark Operator repo, right? You can create a proposal, a folder, right? Because we're going to make docs on the Kubeflow website, but the proposals you can keep in the repo. That is what we're trying to do for other components, instead of enhancement proposals, right?
Okay, so yeah, that's good. Anyone has any other questions? Anyone wants to come on to the camera, talk about it, anything?
And
support that you guys want.
Josh, you're breaking up.
No, one of the things is I just wanted to ask if there are any other burning issues that need attention or someone to look at maybe for testing or even for contributing. If we can probably have a priority list, or if just let us know in the Slack channel or somewhere.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
Go on, Josh. Sorry.
Yeah, just on the comment on the versions of Spark to be supported. It's not so much probably the validation testing, which can be cumbersome, but it's also if there's a problem, how far back do you want to be fixing problems for older versions? So that's the thing that I would think about as you make statements about what is supported and how it's supported. Like you might say, it runs, it's fine, but we're only going to fix issues on this version, these versions. Just food for thought, because sometimes people don't want to go backwards to fix problems.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. For example, maybe the current Spark operator can still support Spark versions 2.4. But yeah, I don't think anyone wants to fix issues with that old version of Spark. So yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I think we are looking at similar to the same. The one version, as a 3 version seems to be valid, like 3.50. Like currently, I think we had 3.51, like 3.50, 3.51, and if there's a new version of 3.52 comes in. But yeah, 2 to 3 versions is good enough, and going backwards is probably challenging for us. Yeah, I agree with that. So going back to Vikas' question, yes. So we're looking for the more active contributors and maintainers. So if you want to be part of it, feel free to just jump in and look at the issues and then comment if you think, and then we'll make sure that those PRs are merged. And the smaller PRs are the quickest to merge at the moment. And if you do any changes to the controller, probably that demands testing it properly from the scratch and making sure that we didn't break the existing build. That is the only concern that we have until we have that proper end-to-end test. But apart from that, yes, performance improvements is another thing, where any new features that you're implementing, it requires a thorough testing. Just make sure that it is backward compatible, that works with the older versions, and also the new changes that you're pushing into, to the repo. Yeah, so that's around the performance improvements. And are there any other topics related to the current challenges, or you think that we need to prioritize? Probably that's a good discussion for us. You can always come onto the camera and talk about it. Is there anything that do you think we need to prioritize that we are ignoring at the moment, or not ignoring it, based on the open issues and PRs that we have for the release 2?
So sorry, I can just quickly say, like, I think back to Vika's point, what will be really helpful if you could help us to do some sort of triaging of these 456 issues. It's not an easy task, I agree. But it's like, I don't think we have enough bandwidth to do, to arrange around through all the issues. So if you can come up with the proposals, like how you want to triage them and what kind of labels you want to add, for example, priority labels, or scalability labels, or just even like close the issues, right? We have, like, for example, stale bots which detect like the issues without any response for like maybe 2 months, and we just automatically close them, because triaging is always like the problem in open source. And some of the PRs and issues can stay open for weeks or months, right? It is like a common problem across multiple components, especially when you don't have enough people dedicated who can do triaging. So maybe, like, if you can come up with some ideas of how you want to triage them or how you want to close them, I think that would be really helpful for folks to reduce this number of open issues, right?
Yeah, so good, Andre. So I would start with the PRs now. Like before you getting into the issues, it's just because we have like 69 PRs, if you can still see my screen. And I'm trying to look at some of them and I'm sure a lot of these PRs were raised like years ago, and some of them might not be valid and kind of things. At the moment, we are only looking the top 10, recently raised PRs since the Kubeflow Spark operator is moved here. But if any of you have raised the PRs in the past and you think existing PRs are more valid even today, please feel free to comment and bump that so that we can actually try to push that PR, review it and merge that PR quickly. So coming back to the issues, yes, we have a lot more issues, and if you feel free to like comment and look at if you are familiar with the concept and the issue, and see, and any kind of triaging, you are welcome. And what what we are thinking in the long term is the more that we see the people are spending more time on triaging the issues and helping out, and eventually be part of a maintainers group to maintain the repo as well. So, that's a recruitment process, as an ongoing recruitment process that we welcome from the community, community people. Yep.
Yeah,
So
sorry, like I think if you want to like understand more how like this recruitment process work, we have some guides on the contributing Kubeflow.org section. Like some of these guides might be outdated, but at least like explaining how you can become a reviewer, then approver, which also can be applied for the Spark operator process, right?
yeah,
I think it would be good to actually update the doc with that process of getting more and more involved and progressing higher up the ranks, like you become a reviewer, approver, and then finally a maintainer as well.
Yeah, thanks. Are there any other challenges that you have today that you solved in Spark Operator that you want to see that to be merged? Anyone?
So right now I've actually got an open PR. I think it's 1979 or something. That's the one we're just waiting on. I think VAR, you've already approved it a while back.
Yeah.
That's the only thing blocking us from actually pulling off of our fork and going on to the official one. It's just a little minor bug fix. The other thing I wanted to just sort of open with general prioritization question is right now there is the whole directory Spark Docker. And what that actually does, when I went and took a look at, is it adds in the Prometheus support, and I think it also technically adds in AvBox GCP support. There are two associated examples for onboarding new users that actually pull from that. And we don't currently build that image. If it's just me in the vacuum, I think we don't want to build that image. But I think right now for a new user onboarding, there's an example out there that just straight up doesn't work out of box, and we can't make it work out of box without doing a little bit of work. So that is a yucky thing for a new user to see when they come on. What do we want to do with that?
So it is a question about having separate images that are needed to enable Prometheus features and GCP support, and that's confusing.
The question generally is, what is the future of the Prometheus support and how we're going to support in the Kubeflow release? Because right now we have a broken example and we have a unused module.
Oh, okay. So that example is broken. Okay, I'm not aware of that. But yeah, that shouldn't be the case. So we need to fix that. And well, at least in my opinion, the Prometheus support is valuable, and we use that in production. And those metrics they offer interesting insights when things go wrong. And I don't think if it's I don't exactly remember whether they are built into the default image that we have, but if that's not the case, I think it makes sense to have that packaged in the general release that we do.
Yeah. So right now, most of the examples use the just default Apache Spark image. The Prometheus example uses the old one that was published specifically by GCR or onto GCR. It's the with metrics, I believe, or Prometheus.
Oh, okay.
No, it's actually not that one. If you can, well, yeah, that one's broken too. But if you go back to examples of our it's Spark Pi Prometheus.
Oh, this one. Yeah.
Yeah. So this Spark v311 GCS Prometheus thing for the image, that is historically been produced by, on the root of a project, there's a Spark Docker folder. And that is, it's just making a new Docker image that adds the Prometheus jars where they need to be, and it also adds GCP support. We don't currently publish that.
Yeah, okay. Some consolidation could be desired.
Either A, publish the jar, or either A, publish the Docker image, B, find some other solution if it doesn't involve publishing a new Docker image, or C, just document what Jesus have and kill off out-of-box support.
Yeah, just a quick question on this. Do we still need JMS exporter jar file? Is this approach is being used? And I know the Apache Spark has a built-in support for Prometheus servlet, and you can kind of export those metrics using simple Prometheus config. Do we need a separate image with Prometheus with this exporter? Is still anyone using that?
Yeah, so Spark after 2.0 or maybe 2.1 added much better support for Prometheus metrics. But yeah, I guess I haven't looked into those details. But yeah, when we deploy, we still use a star exporter Java agent.
Okay.
Well, I think that's one way of doing it. There might be more recent or better ways, but I haven't looked into that.
Okay, yeah, sure. So what we can do is showcase that example with the Prometheus servlet as one of the example. I'll raise an issue just to see if the users want to use that, and then we can look at also verify if we can use JMS exporter as well later on fixing this. Does that make sense? Yeah. Right. Okay. So any more questions around anything, pressing issues? I know we have 10 minutes, but no, we don't have many people in the community, but there is few folks reached out to me in the past, and I think there's a team, I guess Salesforce. I'm not sure anybody from Salesforce here. Okay, right. So a few folks reached out and they said they've done some improvement, and when you submit a Spark job using Spark operator, it takes a longer time to create the pods and process that. It's because I don't have the full details. The JVM process takes longer to create that pod, but when it comes to submitting hundreds and hundreds of jobs, and you'll see a huge lag of creating that due to the JVM process. They've done that improvement and seen 10x improvement to that JVM. Hopefully, those kind of features that will be brought into as a part of performance improvements later on. I'll try to bring them and nudge them on that topic as well. But just thought of mentioning that. Okay.
One modification that we ended up making to the Spark operator that might be of some interest is we ended up using finalizers for the drivers we created because we found that they were getting reclaimed or garbage collected a little too early in EKS, mainly because of the sheer number of pods we end up having on the EKS clusters. That kind of triggers the 12.5K threshold for garbage collection after the pods have completed, not while they're running. I hasten to add, but that's another change we've made. That we put in finalizers around the driver pod metadata so that they're not deleted early before they're completed, and we have had a chance to grab their status, and then the Spark operator clears that if it's there, for example. Found it to be very useful.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting. Yeah. That'll be nice to get added.
Yeah, I'm trying to convince our developer to kind of join and contribute. Otherwise, I'll just steal his and contribute in his name to the opera.
Whichever is quicker. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's one issue I noticed as well, and especially with the large workloads. I know there is a one feature that was added. I'm not sure, Sharon, you can come in that is about if you are aware that when it comes to running a large Spark workloads in a single Kubernetes cluster, sometimes one Spark operator can't handle that, and then we see some users tend to run multiple versions of Spark operator, and each Spark operator manages and looks for set of namespaces. I know that recently we added as a list of namespaces to monitor as a feature on the latest release. So does anyone have any feedback on that and want to add some information around it, whether that is good or a bad to run multi-Spark with monitoring multiple namespaces?
I'm just like wondering, Clara, like, is it done for performance improvements to reduce the load on the Kube API server and the reconciler? Like, what was the main reason to watch for specific namespaces?
Yeah, it's mostly for load balancing and to avoid having too many pods in a single namespace, and also to avoid overwhelming each individual Spark operator pod. But that has the downside of so let's say if the load is not properly balanced, some namespaces might have more pods allocated to them. In that case, let's say if there's one application namespace that doesn't have too many Spark pods running in them, and the Spark operator managing that namespace is basically not doing much and still taking up resources. And we have a use case where there's hundreds of, well, not hundreds, but close to 100 application namespaces. And in that case, we would have, let's say if we have a one-to-one mapping between operator and the application namespace, that will require 100 Spark operator deployments, which in itself can be resource heavy, especially if when the cluster is idle, because many of the batch jobs are spiky and there are busy times and the idle times, and during idle times it's going to be incurring unnecessary cost. But the upside is that during peak workloads, we see better performance. So there's that pros and cons.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. So, running multiple versions of the Spark operator and the pros and cons, and for the large scale and smaller scale, for sure. Yep, Russ.
I just wanted to ask, like, more broadly to the community, like, are folks using Unicorn with Spark operator together? If you're using it, those of you who are using it, are you using it in multi-tenant Kubernetes clusters where you're vending out multiple namespaces and you need to like support both scheduling through Unicorn and the default Kubernetes scheduler? Just because that topic has come up in the Unicorn discussions we've been having. And since they're deprecating the plugin mode, I would love to get a temperature check to see how many folks are actually using Unicorn and Spark operator together in the mode with plugin mode.
We're using Unicorn with Spark operator extensively. I have to, well, I don't recall. I mean, and we are moving to a mode where we will have multiple namespaces for submission of Spark applications. We are not using the Kubernetes default scheduler for at least not for Spark, right? So for that, we label those so that they're picked up by Unicorn for scheduling.
But like in the clusters, do you do dedicated Spark clusters? Or do you do Spark Kubernetes clusters? Or do you do like multi-tenant where there's Spark workloads running and there are non-Spark workloads running?
That's actually a good question. We are starting to think about transitioning because for Unicorn, we're planning on using Ray, PyTorch, for instance. So at some point fairly soon, we will probably have this mixed mode. At this point, it is dedicated, but like I said, we are thinking of a world where these can be intermixed.
Got it.
Yep.
The reason I just bring it up is more about plugin mode is they've kind of deprecated in the Unicorn world. So if that's something folks are interested in, or there's probably some follow-up or advocacy you need to do in the unicorn community if you need that to live longer. I just thought I would bring it up because I know that likely most of the people using unicorn are probably sitting in this call or, in this orbit. So
Yeah, I think we just within Spark Operator, we just need to validate the capabilities that with the Volcano and Unicorn both, and yeah, for sure. I just added that as a point, but now we are like 1 hour to the meeting, and thank you very much for everyone joining this call. And as a part of the next steps, and I would say, just like, if you haven't added the details, just add the names and your interest as well, that you wanted to be part of the community and become a maintainer over a period of time. Just we will consider that, and be in touch with the Kubeflow Spark Operator channel. Please feel free to answer the questions if anyone raised on that channel, and then we start accelerating on the bits of the first release we talked about. Once we have documentation ready on the Kubeflow, we will think about cutting the first release based on the decision taken by the community and us, and that will be discussed in the Kubeflow Spark Operator channel in the next few days.
So one last question for me. Where should we actually put our interest if we want to actually, get into reviewers or maintenance mode in near future? Should we put it in section 7 or at the introductions in the attendee list, so that like everyone put their interest in one place?
Yeah, you can use section 7 here. Just add the details and and the contributions that you made and wanted to be part of this repo. Just put your names down there for now. Then we can look at it.
Yeah, and also just want to add that here, becoming a reviewer, we are referring to the GitHub permissions, but it doesn't require any special privileges to start reviewing PRs as from anyone. So, and it's important to build a track record of being a good community member and reviewing PRs for other people. So yeah, you can already start doing that today without needing to be granted any permissions. And also, besides calling for reviewers and maintainers, also for this community call, right now it's on a monthly cadence, mostly because of time zone and bandwidth limitations from Vara and myself. But if you are interested in hosting this on a more regular cadence, and especially in other time zones, that would be a great idea too.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And I know we're time, like, yes, sorry, Var, like, just feel free to check like the doc that's shared on the reviewers, and Charan made a good point about like the permission. So you just need to go through like similar to Kubernetes. We start with the reviewers, then to approvers, then to the working place, right? So kind of like iterative process to get more access to the community, right? And be involved in Spark Operator development.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I think we are 3 minutes over, and we will meet again. And let's keep in touch in Kubeflow Spark Operator channel. Thanks,
Yeah,
everyone.
I just wanted to last. I think yes, thank you so much again to Yuvara, to
Yeah.
Charan, Russ, Marcy, and all the folks from Google, from AWS, from Apple who actually volunteered for this. It's been like a tremendous amount of effort we've done to make it possible, with collaborating with multiple companies and people who have been involved. So we're super excited to move this forward and to see what we can achieve together as a community with open governments and open policies. So we welcome everyone and looking forward to see what we can do the next steps. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to see everyone. Have a good day. Good
Bye.
weekend.
Thank you. Bye.